It is now 2 years since Russia invaded its smaller neighbor, Ukraine, a war which has killed at least 10,000 people on both sides. Not a few Nigerians were and still affected by the war, which Russia and Ukraine say they know will be a long-drawn one. Our diplomatic and foreign news editor, Shola Jaiseme, has this report.
Later on, we got another information that it was because we delayed, so the flight is cancelled.
The Nigerian government has done well, honestly, from taking us from the border till right now.
As Russia invaded 2 years ago. Fast forward, and many are trying to get on with their lives. Some have been able to complete their education, others are still stranded. Not just out there in Europe, but even back at home in Nigeria, following their evacuation by the Nigerian government a few weeks into the war.
Some came down to the UK here, of which the UK government has been very generous in supporting them. Some were able to enroll into the university system here based on their academic levels at the time they came into the country.
This is Cave Oscar, is a holding point for people who have successfully crossed the border. As you see, we have a whole lot of people coming into this place. You see children, you see women, they are all in this place.
My colleague, Tunde Alabi, flew into Eastern Europe, one of the few African journalists to do so in a bid to get into Western Ukraine in the early days of the war. 2 years later, he says not a few families who had made Ukraine home are still trying to come to terms with reality.
I saw a Nigerian family, they settled and doing very well, but back home, they couldn't find a space. What is wrong? Okay, so we had Nigerian family, left Ukraine, made their way to the UK, settled, found life. But they came back, those who came back to Nigeria lost life. What happened? And so we continue to fight the war, even though it was so far away, yet so close to.
He touches on the plight of Nigerian students whose education has been impacted.
We had a war between the Nigerian medical students in Ukraine and the university system in Nigeria. They said, look, we cannot admit you. And they said, no, you got to admit us. We may have thought it was in Ukraine, but look at how close it was to us in Nigeria.
Since the war, Anna Basova, who is Ukrainian, has been reporting on it for AIT. One can say patriotism rings loud in her reportage, but as she says, it's a war over the right to exist.
It is a question of survival. It is an issue of survival for Ukrainians. Therefore, we have no right, no moral right, and actually no chance to give up. Yes, we are tired. Everyone is tired of this war.
AIT has tried to no avail to get Russians to give their perspective to the war. It's punishable by law to speak against what the Russian authorities call a special military operation in Nazi-inspired Ukraine. Basova says her country will eventually prevail. None of these two men, Vladimir Putin of Russia and Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine, seem to be letting up. Ukraine has insisted that it is fighting for its sovereignty, while Russia says it will take as long as it will take for it to prevent NATO aspirations of Ukraine from being reality. Shola Jaiseme, AIT News.